Are you guys frustrated during your training? Let's read this question. Do you have any advice on dealing with frustration when practicing and training? I'm trying hard to build the basics, consistent grip that doesn't slip, trigger control, keeping my wrists locked, and remaining target focused. When it all comes together, it feels magical. I shoot faster and more accurate than before. But man, am I struggling while chasing that feeling, and I can't help but get mad at myself or frustrated with the process. I know it's a good idea to take breaks, but what else can I do? Perhaps I need a mindset change. Well, I think this is the part of the conversation where a lot of guys would just say, "Hey, man, you need to embrace the suck." And what I mean by that is your practice should inherently be frustrating. And what I mean by that is you want to build, so you have this awareness of what you're trying to do, and then you have this awareness of what you are doing. And then you try to bring what you are doing more towards what you want to do. It's like, oh, I want to transition from here to here without staring at my red dot. Or it's like, oh, I want to draw the pistol like about as fast as my arms can move, and I come up and my grip and index feels good to me. You know? That's like what I'm trying to do. And then unfortunately, you're going to be like pretty consistently frustrated because what you're doing and what you're trying to do are not normally going to be the same thing. You have to embrace that there's frustration there. Now, from what I've read and what I've personally experienced, I think it's best to set the conditions for your training that you fail 80% of the time and you're successful about 20% of the time. And that doesn't mean like catastrophically fail or anything like that. It just means your training is aggressive enough and difficult enough, and your assessment is like really on point. So you're really paying attention that, you only really feel like, yeah, that was a really good rep about 1 in 5 times. That frustration is always going to be boiling there. All right. Now you might think, well, as I improve in skill, the frustration level is going to go down. That's not typically what I've seen. So as somebody's skill level is much, much higher, their awareness is going to be higher as well. So they're going to pick up on all these little minutia that frustrate them. And that is the nature of the beast. So what I would say is embrace the frustration. I know for me, I'm like a rage monster about like 30 minutes or an hour into my practice. Like my practice is very challenging for me. Whatever it is I'm doing, I'm going to challenge myself. I might be shooting a pistol at 3 yards. I might be doing whatever. Like it doesn't matter. It might not look challenging to people, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to set the conditions so that I'm consistently challenged and consistently like a little bit frustrated. Again, I said it so like 1 in 5 times I'm really kind of happy with what I'm doing. 1 in 5 runs. Now, I should also say, if you're one of the people who's like, they go overboard with this, they're like, oh, they're hypercritical of themselves and they are never happy with a rep they do, I do think you're holding yourself back. Here's a good example of that. There's a very nice guy that Joel and I had in class a few weeks ago. And we had a little paster up as an aiming reference, like a black paster. And we were doing, I forget the drill we're doing on it, but he's drawing and shooting it on like with just that aiming reference. And I was just like, hey man, that was a good rep. That was good. Because I'm watching him and it's just like, yeah, he's too slow. He's too stiff, he's too tense and he's having trouble picking up the speed. So I see him draw. He looks pretty relaxed. He starts hammering that spot. And I was like, yeah, this is good. I like what you're doing there because he's picking up the speed and the accuracy is more than acceptable for what he's doing. But then he's just like, no, man, it's bad. Like it's bad. When you shoot this drill, like it was all like really, it was a tidy little group right on that paster. And it was just like, man, you don't need to do that right now. You just need to relax and get yourself faster. So a lot of guys go so overboard that they the perfect becomes the enemy of the good, where they just never give themselves credit for any kind of success. And that ends up holding them back. But anyway, consider the rule I gave. You want to feel successful 4 out of 5 reps, set the conditions of your training like that. And for most people, that's about the appropriate amount of frustration for them.